Hello and welcome to the update. I'm Michelle Stevenson. The PM is expecting voters to forgive him for breaking an election promise on the stage 3 tax cuts. The changes have passed through Parliament, benefiting low to middle income earners at the expense of those on higher incomes, with the opposition criticising the move despite voting in its favour. Anthony Albanese has told Parliament those changes just make sense.
We made sure that no one was left behind and no one held back. No one left behind by ensuring that those workers who earn under $45,000 a year also got a tax cut. And one of the things that will do is flow right through the tax scales.
But Nationals Senator Matt Canavan argues that the deal won't do much to address cost of living pressures.
Roughly around $15 a week for the average Australian.
The opposition says there's no comfort for Aussie households, meantime, in the latest inflation numbers. CPI has remained pretty steady at 3.4% for the year to January. The cost of food and housing are still pretty high, but holiday and accommodation prices came down. Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor says the federal government is not doing enough to address those cost of living pressures.
I make a point of getting out to food banks right across the country, and I'm seeing people having to rely on services they never would have had to rely on, wonderful services they would never have to have relied on 18 months ago, but they're having to do it now because they simply can't make ends meet.
A 79-year-old man has been arrested following a shooting in Sydney's CBD. Officers arrived to the scene to find several workers restraining the man, with a 77-year-old in hospital with a gunshot wound to the groin. Qantas has agreed to pay a worker $21,000 in compo after he was found to have been unlawfully stood down at the start of the pandemic. The man losing his job for telling colleagues not to work over fears about cleaning procedures on flights from China. And an online tool has been launched designed to visually represent the effects of projected temperature increases across the country. The Climate Council's heat map is an interactive platform which allows users to explore how climate change may affect their local area. Sport and entertainment are next. To sport, and the Rabbitohs are preparing to shift base to Vegas. They've been staying in San Diego in the build-up to Sunday's historic clash with the Seagulls. And ahead of tomorrow's first test against New Zealand, Australia is sticking with the same 11 that were stunned by the West Indies last month. In your entertainment news now, and Kanye's Aussie wife has once again shocked onlookers with her raciest outfit yet. Bianca Censori out and about in Paris wearing sheer stockings with no underwear. Gigi Hadid and Bradley Cooper have been snapped looking pretty loved up while on a brekkie date in New York City. The couple have been romantically linked since October last year. And following last night's surprise performance at the Opera House, Fred again has announced a series of massive Aussie shows. The Cult UK producer playing Melbourne, Sydney and the Gold Coast, with tickets on sale from tomorrow. That's the latest from the Nova Podcast News team. Love another episode of The Update for you tomorrow. I'm Michelle Stevenson.